Jaime Reyes is returning home from college, only to find that his parents are short on cash and at risk of losing their home. Jaime quickly gets a job in order to help out his family, but little does he know that this job will change the course of his life. When going in for an interview, Jaime accidentally brings home an interesting piece of tech, a blue scarab, which bonds with him both figuratively and literally. Now Jaime has not only a target on his back, but his family's as well, because this technology is wanted by some very dangerous people. And it's up to Jaime to use his newfound gift to protect his family. This is Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is the latest film from DC and Warner Brothers to bomb at the box office. But more importantly, this is the first film adaptation of who I consider to be one of DC's most underrated heroes. And if you're someone like me who spent a majority of their time watching cartoons in the 2000s, you probably recognize this character from the cartoon Batman Brave and the Bold. I swear, that cartoon is probably where so much of my obscure DC knowledge came from early on in life. The show introduced me to characters such as Plastic Man and Red Tornado. Plastic Man probably doesn't need an introduction, but Red Tornado is so interesting to me. He's just a sad robot who shoots tornadoes. I love him. But where were we? Oh right, Blue Beetle. Sorry, I forgot about the movie. Just like everyone else who didn't go to the theater to see it. Now, I'm only being harsh like that for comedic effect, because Blue Beetle is actually really fun. It's got a great lead character with an equally as great lead performance, a strong supporting cast, and it's just the kind of comic book movie I don't feel like we get nowadays. Playing Jaime Reyes, aka Blue Beetle, is Xolo Maridueña, and he delivers the perfect amount of heart and energy to a character like Blue Beetle. Jaime just has such a great personality, one that's akin to Spider-Man or even Shazam, which may put people off because in context of the movie, Jaime is older than both Spider-Man and Shazam typically are, but whatever. I just think this is the kind of comic book character that people are going to really love and just find endearing and entertaining to watch. And the supporting cast playing his family is also great too. Each member of the Reyes family has a great moment to shine, whether it be comedically or emotionally. But I think there are two specific ones people are really going to remember. The first of which is Adrina Brazza, hope to God I pronounced that one correctly, who plays Jaime's abuela, grandmother, for all my fellow white people. Her character maybe doesn't start to shine until the third act of the film, but man, if this wasn't a great character. And the second character I think's gonna be the most memorable is George Lopez's character. Because for some reason, every time I see George Lopez in anything, it just kind of cracks me up. It's not necessarily because he's doing anything funny, but he does that in the film. I see him and I think of two things. One, Mr. Electric from Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and two, the first few notes of Lowrider. But overall though, this is a great supporting cast, and one that probably puts Fast and the Furious to shame when it comes to family. When it comes to actually adapting Blue Beetle as a superhero, I think they did a phenomenal job. The costume is on point, the powers are badass, and the suit-up sequence is unlike anything I think I've ever seen in a comic book movie. Although, this version of Blue Beetle is missing the mouth. Every other iteration of Blue Beetle I can think of has this mouth, and I don't particularly like it on a 3D model, let alone a human. I remember in Injustice 2, they had Blue Beetle, and I saw him with a 3D model, and I really didn't like the mouth for some reason. Some things just work better as a cartoon or a drawing, and that's definitely one of them. But to make up for that, Blue Beetle has expressive eyes in this film. Something as small as the expressive eyes go such a long way. That is easily my favorite comic book movie innovation. For as great as Blue Beetle and his family are, the villains of the film are pretty weak. The main big bad of the film is just kind of a generic scientist type person to me. She just isn't that unique, and Susan Sarandon just isn't that intimidating as a generic scientist lady. Now, I do have to give the film some points with the villains, though. This is the first of 3 DC films this year to actually have a villain from the comics. No Daughters of Atlas or whatever the hell was going on in The Flash here. We got Carapax. I know you don't know who that is, but he's a real character in the comics, so I'll take it. But what I think I appreciate the most with this film is that it's the kind of comic book movie I wish we could get more of. It's not a comic book movie about a doomed world. It's not a comic book movie about the multiverse. It's not a comic book movie busy on setting up sequels and other spin-offs. It's just a comic book movie about a kid getting superpowers and having to use those superpowers to protect his family. It's what a fun, wholesome comic book movie should be. No need to worry about future movies. Coming out of that, I'm gonna say this now, which kind of makes what I just said seem null and void, but I'm gonna say it anyway. James Gunn. Hey, Quint here. Big fan. Don't just delete Blue Beetle and his family, please. Like, I know this movie isn't performing the best at the box office, but man, it would be a crime to just delete these characters. Do whatever you want with Superman. I don't care. Blue Beetle's great, and stick with them, please. No matter what happens to Blue Beetle, I'm just glad we have this one wholesome, entertaining comic book movie for one of my favorite DC heroes. I hope you all enjoyed this review, and if you did, please consider hitting that like button, and if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified when my next review drops. Oh, and by the way, check out the website. Until next time, I'm Quint Dunaway, hoping you will keep it cinematic.